Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I find it interesting that the Democrats are calling for an investigation and yet at the same time labeling the shooting that took place in Minneapolis as a murder. It sounds to me like they've made up their mind. They called it a mercilessly gunned down, ICE using violence. The administration's in full-on propaganda mode, terrorizing, making our streets unsafe. I mean, you know what? There's not been one Democrat that I have heard since ICE has been enforcing the law, one Democrat at any level of government, local, county, state, federal, that has said to people, we don't like what ICE is doing, but you have to de-escalate the attacks on ICE. We don't like what ICE is doing. I haven't heard a single Democrat urging de-escalation. I haven't heard one Democrat urging that anti-ICE protesters step back, stand down, stop attacking, stop doxing, stop obstructing, stop inciting violence, stop inciting illegal conduct. I haven't heard one Democrat urge the public to obey orders of law enforcement.
Would the gentleman yield?
What I have heard is that Democrats have said, oh, they're wearing masks. They should be frightened of ICE. They're wearing masks. You've concluded that the woman posed no threat. But if the ICE agent, and then you argued the Garner, Tennessee case. But if the ICE agent believed there was a threat to himself or other agents, that doesn't save your argument because even the Tennessee Garner case would justify the shooting. It would if the officer believed that he was in danger and in imminent harm.
If the gentleman would yield, I can correct your misunderstanding.
No, you've got.
No, I don't have enough time for that anyway.
You're the one who's misunderstanding here. What I would suggest to you, if this woman really wanted bail, as your predecessor speaking on the Democrat side had said, not your immediate predecessor, but a couple people before you, she could have chosen to stop her car. She could have obeyed a lawful order to remove herself from the vehicle. That's what she could have done. I don't know what was going on in her mind, and I don't know yet what was going on in the mind of the officer, and neither do you. But when you come in here and sit down and say, let's investigate this murder, which is effectively what you're saying, what you're doing is undermining the very notion of an impartial investigation. And that does not inure to your benefit. I think the underlying reason that we're here is Mr. Fitzgerald's bill. I think it's a good bill. I think it's warranted. I think it's necessary. I support that bill. But I would just get back to this point. I just find it interesting that the Democrats are demanding an investigation when they apparently have already determined the legal outcome. That's what Mr. Raskin's arguing. They've determined the factual outcome. That's what your predecessors were both arguing. And at the same time claiming we need to have an investigation because we've already made up our mind, but we wanted an investigation. That's crazy. And I again get back to my point. I have yet to hear Democrats say, calm down. What I hear instead is an incitement to further violence against ICE.
Will the gentleman yield?
An incitement. No, I won't. I'll give you another example out of Tucson. ICE goes into a restaurant. They go into a restaurant. They've got 19 warrants. Somebody been tipped off. The entire restaurant is devoid of personnel except for the manager. They go to leave because there's no one to serve their warrants on. But protesters have come and chained the locks on the door so they can't escape. The ICE officers can't exit. And then they call and they get a big protest out there. And by the time the city of Tucson Police Department gets there, you've got a massive protest going on, resulting in some pushing and shoving and altercation. No one stands up and says, on your side of the aisle, no one stands up and says, let's stop that. Let's stop doxing these ICE agents. let's stand down. I'm not hearing that. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Gentleman yields back. I think